Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today recapping our Week 17 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. So before getting into this game, I just want to point out to Dallas Cowboys, unless I'm missing something, this was the game before ours, unless I'm missing something, they already secured the NFC East, they secured their seeding. And I'm pretty sure they know who they were playing with Seattle, because they were going to get, the 7th seed. So again, unless I'm missing something, they have everything done coming into this game, and they played full tilt the whole game, tooth and nail to, beat the Giants. And what if I recall, is a meaningless game, as they say. But hey, I give full props. If you want to go out there, like some people are saying, show a division opponent, you know what time it is. If you want to send a message to your team, let's go out and play, then do it. Cause through the whole game, they were like, okay, when they going to take Dak out? When they going to do this? Now they didn't have, Ezekiel Elliott play, and they had some injuries on the O-line, but Zeke, I think, was the only healthy person they held back. But, for the most part, like, yeah, if you're going to say, okay, let's play, then let's play. That's what I'm talking about, not having one foot in, one foot out. If you say it's best for our team to go in with momentum, it's best for our team to go out there and, get some hits in before next week, then do it to the fullest extent. That's what the Dallas Cowboys did in a battle against the Giants, and I just gotta say I respect them for that. All right, so getting to our game. We had a conversation about what we should do that frankly brought out a lot of just misled Bears fans. I mean, throughout the year, I haven't, been super shocked in what I've seen, but in this past week, it was just like, wow, okay, like just some people just don't listen. Can't listen and have nasty attitudes for no reason. As I always say, we all want the Bears to win. That's the goal. I don't see why some Bears fans act that way with other Bears fans. It's absolutely just stupid. And honestly, it's no place on this channel. I don't care what you think, or if you think you're the most diehard fan or whatever it is. If you got such an issue with other fans, then just don't be on this channel, or, I don't need that at all. So, turns out we were all kind of right or all kind of wrong. I don't know. And I said it, people kind of twisted Nagy's words in that interview. I think he was, kind of the definition of a non-statement when he was basically placating, and it kind of ended up being what it was. We heard during the broadcast, they were like, Nagy said he didn't know what he was going to do. He wasn't sure. And it kind of, this is why we played the game. It was a weird way that it shook out, where you had guys naturally get hurt, and so they kind of had to step out. Then you had, certain people we had stay in as we kept pushing. And then as we got, over the hump, we started taking certain people out. And I think the only person that we just took out not off the top, but naturally, was Kyle Long. Now, Kyle Long came back trying to get some hits in. It's his first game in a while. And so then they end up taking him out after the half, I believe. And so that was the only one that kind of naturally, or the one that we target to take out, because Khalil Mack, everybody on defense still played. Anthony Miller had his shoulder. Taylor Gabriel tweaked some. So, those guys kind of naturally came out. Allen Robinson didn't even play. So it just kind of, it was kind of weird, because it wasn't directly at the half, even though the Rams were beating them. And so, it was a weird filter in and out of when we put, starters on the bench. But, going into it, or I should say being in the middle of it, I don't agree with this. We didn't have none to play for is meaningless. You get to essentially choose who you want to play. If you sat back and took the starters out and kind of went vanilla game plan, you could very easily let the Vikings win, and then you're going to play them guaranteed next week if they win. And if you continue to put the foot on the gas and you knock them out of this game, there's a very good chance that you won't see them. And if you were watching the score, then you would have known for a fact you would have saw the Eagles. That's huge. I mean, that to me is bigger than having a first round bye. I mean, of course you want a first round bye, but still being able to say I'm not going to play versus, I'm going to pick who I'm playing, that's pretty big. And so to say we didn't have anything to play for, I think is a little silly. And I stand by my statement from last week. I'd much rather face Philly than Minnesota, but we'll get into that matchup, later in the week. So usually I start the defense and we'll start the offense. Again, love the Bears, love my fans, fellow fans, not my fans, my fellow Bears fans. But some of y'all are just delusional and just misled. I seen some crazy talk this week. People just bold-facedly saying Mitch Trubisky's the best quarterback in the league. If you don't think Mitch Trubisky can play, you're not a real Bears fan. All this crazy stuff. And it blows my mind how many people have been told that to be a real fan, quote unquote, you have to just blow smoke up your own butt every single day and just blindly, profusely praise the team. And I can't acknowledge any negative because then that means I'm not a fan. That's ridiculous. And even if you're not criticizing Trubisky, if you don't acknowledge him as the best quarterback, then you're not a real fan. What? Mitch Trubisky? People are saying I take Mitch over Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all Drew Brees, everybody. Oh, excuse me? It blows my mind. And I say all that to say that the year's over, and then this game is a perfect example. Mitch Trubisky has a lot to work on. And I'm not saying, and again, it's weird that some people interpret me saying, okay, if he wants to be this type of quarterback, these are the things he has to do. Some people interpret that as me saying that's what he has to be. I'm not saying it's what he has to be, but I'm saying that's the goal. That's the goal of a number 2 quarterback in the draft, or the number 2 pick in the draft as a quarterback. That's the goal if you want him to be your franchise guy. Those are the things you're looking at for him to improve to get to. You gotta have targets. You gotta have goals to reach. You don't just go out there and be like, oh, well, we won, or he didn't throw an interception, so we're good. But no need to talk about anything. That's not how football works. And it darn shouldn't how fandom should work. And so that's just crazy to me. So this game, you look at him, some easy throws he still misses. The clock management. I mean, I'm not making this up. You had Troy Aikman destroying him on national TV. Just some of the mistakes as a quarterback, he's not there yet. And he has to get there. I mean, he has to get there. And I think he will clean stuff up. Again, he's in his second year as the quarterback. So I'm number one. I'm a draft guy. I'm number one to tell people, give them the long term. Cause some people will sit here and be like, well, you hold unrealistic expectations for Trubisky. And then on the same coin, tell me that I'm giving Kevin White too much leash and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, pick one. I'm always going to give a guy a leash. I'm not going to say he has to be Tom Brady right now. I'm just simply looking at what he has to improve. And it scares me. Looking at the offense, it was good to see Kyle Long out there. Cool. Jordan Howard proving that he very much still has a presence. And I'm not sure what's been going on the last few weeks, but you see Nagy really tailing back on, Cohen. So he still gets some touches, but it seems like Matt Nagy is, there's something going on with Tariq Cohen where he's not enthralled with him as much as he used to be. And so that's fine though. I think a balanced dose, and I think Jordan Howard proves that he definitely has a place in this offense. But even with that being said, it's tough. It hinges on Trubisky. I mean, it's nice. He could get you some yards that some quarterbacks can't get. But still, he'll hit some things that's open, that's prescribed for him. But still, when it's time to put it on his back, it's not going to be pretty. And so the best that we could hope for is that we continue to have a run game that we're committed to and we could get some yards. And I still think our offensive line is pretty good in that department. What really helps us is our formations. And I talked before the season a lot about how you would see a lot of bunches and tight sets, because what that does is that really confuses defense on where you headed. When everybody's so tight, you got to line up tight, and then people disperse out over the place. You don't know if this is a cut block or if it's a drag thing or somebody's coming back for a cross block or if it's a play action. It makes things really muddy. And early on in the game, that really helped us bust some of those big runs, because you're in these tighter formations, you're condensing the defense, and then all of a sudden, once the ball snaps, people move in different directions, and it only takes one person to be caught out of the gap, and boom, you got a big run. So things like that, even with the I formation, bringing in the backup tackle as the lead blocker, it's still more of a inside zone ISO or inside zone lead or lead zone. And so it still isn't power, straight up power like it used to be. And I still don't know that we're great at that. But again, when we get people moving, we do pretty well. And so, I just hope and I believe that Nagy has the offensive mind to get us in situations where we can continue to make the run game a reality. And then that just helps sets up, our pass game a little better. And hopefully we're healthy going into next week, or at least have our receiving core available. Cause I said we're pretty good. And this is what I was meaning. You have essentially all your backups cause your top 3 receivers were down. And we didn't do spectacular by any means, but you think about who you still got. Even without those top 3 guys, you got Trey Burden, who was a matchup nightmare against a linebacker and safety. You got Adam Shaheen, who can just bully ball, even though he's starting to learn more. But then you got Tariq Cohen, you could flex out in the slot and still use Jordan Howard in the backfield. And then Williams is coming on well. And then you got Kevin White, Bellamy, of course. So again, not amazing, but the fact is the way our offense is set up, we don't force feed it to one person anyway. And so all of our play designs are really just to flood the areas of the field, and we can get people open that way. So I think the scheme really helps us in that sense that our core is strong, our receiving core is strong overall, as I said, because we don't really have that one star, which I think is good for us. So, again, we didn't do amazing with the backup crew, but it's not like last year where we just couldn't do anything. So overall for the offense, I mean, the fact is we got saved by, like, there was a bad ref game all around. We got saved by some penalties though, many a times on drives. And so, even though we went on to complete the drive, there's too many times we rely on penalties. And the Vikings are a great defense, so let's not pretend they're not. And they definitely gave us more, pressure on Trubisky than most teams have. But, again, the offense, you know, they're still on their way. So for today, for the offense, I give them a B minus. Defensively, there's not much to say. Held them, pretty much the whole game. We did really well. Kirk Cousins was scared. Everybody was scared. I mean, I don't know if they really didn't think they could beat us, but they just played like they were not trying to play against us. But, again, this is one of those offensive lines that the 4-man pass rush was able to get home and create some pressure with just using stunts, games, and straight bull rush. And that's always good. I mean, shoot, we already one of the least blitzing teams in the league, but man, I guarantee you, if we get to a point or we face a team where we can push around their offensive line like Minnesota and San Fran with just the front four, you're going to be in for a real long night. But yeah, everybody clamped down. There was a few penalties, some bad calls too. Again, that kept some drives alive. But other than that, we stifled them. We stifled them pretty badly. So I got to give the defense an A+ for the day. So yeah, overall, I mean, I'll probably recap the season more after the playoff run and whatever we end up doing there. But overall, through this year, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the fans, a lot about our team and everything else. Confidence, man. That's probably the only thing I'll say right now is that confidence really can turn the tide. And I still maintain there was plenty of talent during the Fox years. I'm one of those big people like Fox first year. Our average margin of loss was like 3 points, less than 3 points, I think. Like, people forget, if the games had went the other way, we could have been in the playoffs that year. We were really competing hard when John Fox came into town. And so I maintain we had a lot of talent still coming in, even though this roster's different, but mostly on defense, it's a lot of the same people. But I maintain that we've always had talent. Not throughout the whole roster, of course, but we had talent and confidence in what you're doing, especially on the deep. Now, offensively, it's fun, it's creative. There's no confidence yet. And that's not a knock on anybody. It's the first year. They're really, and it's a lot. Honestly, it's more than just it being the first year. It's a whole lot to learn and to know. And we seen with the penalties and stuff, we're still getting the timing and everything down. Our clock management is still pretty bad, but we're getting that down. But with defense, you see what confidence does and as a coach, I know it's not just confidence in what you're doing, but confidence in the coach too. Because if a player doesn't believe the coach knows what he's talking about, or if a coach tells them to do something and they haven't seen results, they're not going to put their effort into it. They're going to half do it. Things are good. That's how you have bust, or like mental bust and coverage bust. But when you believe in the scheme, when you believe that other players are going to do their job, and you believe that you can do your job and it's going to help, then that's when you have a great defense. You're not trying to do other people's job. You're not trying to freelance and not listen to the coach. You're doing what you're being coached to do. And that's when you have really good defenses. And so I would say the theme of this year is the confidence that players got early on. And you can tell we grew into the team we are right now. So anyway, we got the Eagles coming up. Probably do a breakdown of that matchup some point this week. But now I want to hear what you guys say. Go to the comment section. How you feel, how everything shook out. If you want to have comments about this year as a whole, go ahead. But yeah, share it around, get the convo started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.